Hey guys, it's Sarmo Shadow 001 back at it again with the video games and back at it again with Destiny 2. And what you're seeing on the screen here is basically a tier list that I had found on tiermaker.com that is basically for the exotic weapons of Destiny 2 up to Season of the Drifter. So this is probably the most recent. There is one weapon that's not on here, and I'm saving that for the end because this was made before that weapon was released. So more or less, I have a static image up here, so I already arranged them because I don't have anything to capture my computer screen at the moment. But basically, what we have here is pretty cool, and I'm just going to walk you through it. So here are the different tiers that we have here. We have S tier, which is extremely easy to use, does high damage. It's common in endgame and comp. So you'll see it a lot. You have A tier, which basically could be S tier, but it has basically one thing kind of holding it back. You have B tier, which is fun to use and it works well into day-to-day stuff, but not really meant for the end game. We have C tier, which is like very niche. It only works well in this one specific place, but that's it. You have your D tier, which is a pretty poor option. You'll get called out, but it's not the worst. Your F tier is the absolute worst, and not released yet are weapons that you don't have, basically. So right now we're just going to start from the bottom and go up. So we have not released yet, we have the Anarchy. So I don't have it, I don't really raid that much, so I don't have this weapon. From what I've heard, it is really not good. If I did have the weapon, I'd probably put it into F tier. I was told it's really not great. The arc traps, it's just not really fun to use. It's okay, I guess is what people are saying. It's not the best heavy weapon. There's so many better weapons you can have out there. So first we're going to start off with the F tier. So in the first one with the F tier, we have the Cerberus +1. And remember, the F tier is the worst of the worst here. Yeah, Cerberus +1 is quite possibly the worst auto rifle, like exotic auto rifle in Destiny history. Wow, it is really, really bad. Basically, it's perk, 4-headed dog, allows you, to shoot 4 barrels at a time, which sounds awesome. It's basically a spread gun, but it doesn't have the damage to back it up. It's too wild and inconsistent. It's impossible to aim. The recoil is real bad on it. It's just... it's an absolute just piece of garbage. It really doesn't function as well as literally you could use a blue auto rifle and it'll probably do better than this. I feel like it's just so bad. And here on the next one for F tier, we have Prometheus Lens. Now this weapon, I remember when it was busted when it first came out, and that was a glitch. As soon as they got rid of the glitch, this weapon just disappeared. It's so bad. It's from kind of the dark days of Destiny 2, which we call basically Curse of Osiris. From vanilla to Curse of Osiris, I call it the Dark Ages. Lord, it is not good. It does too little damage. The only thing that I would say would make it better is the fact that if you're a hunter and you run the knife trick there, what do you call it, the playing with fire, then yeah, you do pretty well there because you're getting burns all the time. But other than that, it's just a novelty weapon that's not fun really to use. It's more of a hindrance than a help. Next we have the Skyburner's Oath. I like how they tried to make it cool and tried to buff it, but it doesn't work. No matter how many times they try to buff it or make it cool, it's still garbage. They gave it tracking bullets and it's still bad. It doesn't hit hard enough. It goes through phalanx shields, which normally would be cool, except for the fact that they have a big weak point that you can just shoot anyway to get the shield down. So there's really no point in even using this weapon at all, in my opinion. Next is the Sweet Business. Now, this weapon looks amazing. It's just absolute doo-doo. It has high caliber rounds, sure, but you have to let it spin up and it takes forever, and by then you'll get shot in the head by a Luna's Howl and it'll be over. That's really it. Honestly, this weapon is not good. It's kind of a waste of an exotic slot. The ammo runs out too quickly. I don't really like it that much at all. Next is the Wish Ender. I know this got buffed. Honestly, I see no one using it. I don't see anyone use it anymore. I guess the one good thing about it would be the fact that you can see through walls, which is really cool. Other than that, it's really not good. The damage is okay. The fact that you can over penetrate targets is okay, but other than that, it's just, I'm not feeling it, to be honest. It's just not a good weapon in my opinion. Next, we have the Worldline Zero, and this is simply because swords aren't good. The Worldline Zero has like a cool concept in the fact that you can teleport when sprinting. That's really all you got, though. There used to be the super jump that you could do with it, but that was just more for fun. Other than that, there's really no function for this sword at all. And honestly, swords aren't really that good to begin with in Destiny 2, so it kind of makes sense that this would be in the F tier. And before I go on to the next tier, I realized there is another weapon missing, and that's because it's a PlayStation exclusive. And I will mention that once we get to a specific tier where I think that weapon will fit. That is not Outbreak Perfected, but I realized it is not on here. So at D tier, which is kind of your poor options, you have the Black Talon. Now, I know people are going to get on my case about this, but the Black Talon's good. What are you talking about? It is. It's fun. I would give you that. It's definitely fun, but I mean, when are you going to use it that often? You run out of ammo too quick, and again, swords aren't really in a good place. This is basically the best sword in the game, but that's not really saying much when swords aren't even that good in the first place. So in my opinion, I feel like it's not that good. Next is the Cold Heart, and this, I bet you if this was all the way back to vanilla Destiny 2, this would be S tier, because this was the damage dealing weapon you could use. It was like the best weapon, and now it's fallen from grace as kind of one of the worst trace rifles. I wouldn't say it's the worst, considering that I put Prometheus Lance in F tier. But it's really not good. It's not that fun, in my opinion. I feel like it doesn't really do much. Not a lot of times where you're gonna get a target that really stands still, and now you have crazy weapons that do way more damage. So I feel like that's not gonna really help out at all. Next, we have the Huckleberry. Now, this used to be a really good weapon, and I think it's just outmatched by pretty much every other weapon on here. I feel like it could be really good, and sometimes it is, but you have all these crazy other weapons right now, and it's just really not doing it for me anymore. I don't see anyone use Huckleberry anymore, or use submachine guns to begin with. I feel like it's not really that common, in my opinion. Next, we have the Mida Multi-Tool. Now, this weapon is never used. This used to be the king of Crucible all the way back, literally in the first week of Destiny 2, and now it's kind of just there. Scout rifles aren't really in the best place right now. They have gotten better, but honestly, I feel like it's not as fun, especially when you have Blast Furnace, when you have Outbreak Perfected, when you have all of these other, pulse rifles out there that can really outclass scout rifles anyway. So I feel like it's not really great. I mean, you move faster. That's okay. Next, we have Polaris Lance. Now, honestly, I feel like if they just up the damage a little bit, this could easily be B tier, maybe even A tier. It has probably one of the best damage dealing perks ever, but it's just not a good scout rifle. You can fire infinitely, but it's too slow. It doesn't do nearly enough damage as it should, and I feel like I can use pretty much any other legendary scout rifle than this, and it's kind of upsetting because I think it really is a good gun if it just got like a little tweak. Next is the Queenbreaker's Bow, or the Queenbreaker. This is in D tier because the whole thing with the aim assist got fixed. So it had 200% more aim assist than it should have had. I thought it was meant to be like crazy. It had the highest aim assist in the game, and people were hitting crazy shots, and this used to be the bane of everybody in Gambit. And now, since they've taken that away, you don't really have anything with this weapon anymore. You kind of lost its main attracting point. No one really uses it anymore because all that got fixed, and it doesn't do anything. I mean, the blinding is kind of cool, but you had Hereafter in Destiny 1. I'm pretty sure most people don't even know what the Hereafter is in Destiny 1. So that's all I'm going to have to say right there. Next, we have Sturm, and by extension, Drang. I feel Sturm is D tier, honestly, because there are way better hand cannons that you could be using. Especially with Thorn and Last Word added into the game. It's, in my opinion, it's just not worth it. Sturm Overcharge can be fun. It can have its good moments, but other than that, I feel like it's kind of useless. I feel like you don't really have a reason to use it. Next, we have Suros Regime. This gun just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't do it for me. I would say it's definitely better than Sweet Business in the fact that you don't have the ammo problem. Other than that, I wouldn't really say it's that exotic, honestly. I feel like it's more of a novelty than anything. You don't really get anything out of it. It feels like a normal auto rifle to me, like any other legendary auto rifle. It doesn't feel exotic to me. It doesn't feel crazy or really fun to use. I think that's why I put it into D tier. Next, we have the Two-Tailed Fox, the exotic I tried to chase for so long, only to be disappointed. Oh boy, this rocket launcher's bad, man. It's the 2 rockets is cool, and the fact that they do different status effects is cool, but it just doesn't seem fun. And also the rockets come out at random times. It's not good. You have ammo problem, like severe ammo problem, and I get that it's a rocket launcher, but it seems like you just don't get anything, any bang for your buck, honestly. It's more of a novelty. Yeah, you could suppress things, that's cool, but if you're trying to suppress a person in Crucible and because they come out randomly and all of a sudden you get a fire rocket instead of the suppressing rocket, then it's kind of over. You don't really, then they're kind of burning, but that's not going to do anything. So honestly, I feel like it's too random. It's too much of a chance that's why it's in D tier. It just doesn't seem as consistent as it should be. Now we're on to C tier. So these are only for like very niche weapons. So the first one we have here is one of the newest additions, and that is the Arbalest. I feel like it's C tier in the fact that you can only really use it in certain activities. Yes, it's a kinetic linear fusion rifle, which is really cool. It is fun to use. It's just you only get value out of it if you have enemies with shields. Crucible, it can be fun. Sometimes you can one-shot headshot people. Other than that, I feel like it's not really worth the exotic slot, and you can be using a lot better stuff. Again, I feel like it was only good in Verdant Forest when that was a thing, and in the 0 Hour mission where you got Outbreak Perfected. I feel like those are really the only 2 spots that's kind of really worth something. Again, in Crucible, if you're good with your shots, it's fun, but other than that, it's kind of okay. Next, we have the Borealis. I put this as a niche spot because you can really only use it in strikes or burns. It's not really, you don't really need to change elements all that much. Ionic Return is really good. Other than that, I feel like it's just kind of there. It's kind of not really something that I would consider top tier. Maybe if it had a little bit of a buff, it would be fine, but other than that, I feel like it's very balanced, but I feel like it's just kind of in the middle. It's kind of a meh to me. It doesn't feel exciting or different. On C tier, this one hurts me the most, probably. This would be the Last Word. This weapon it's fun. It really has only use in the Crucible, which is basically what it was in Destiny 1, except in Destiny 1, it was broken. This gun has a huge cult following because of that, because it was a broken weapon in Destiny 1. You can map people. This one, I feel it's good, it's balanced. It's right where it needs to be, where it's not too overpowered and it's not too underpowered, and that's why I kind of put it into C tier. That's what I feel like all these weapons are in C tier, not just because they're niche, but I feel like they're also very balanced in my opinion. This weapon, it's got cool novelties, and it's fun when you know how to use it, but other than that, I feel like you could be using a lot better weapons anyway. I just feel like this is very middle of the road. It's fun, I would say. I would let people use it quite a bit. Next is the Hard Light. Now, the reason why this is in C tier is basically the exact same reason as Borealis. The element changing isn't really all that crazy useful. You can really only use this in strikes or on shielded enemies, and the screen shake is still a problem. Lord have mercy, Bungie, can you please fix it, because it's so bad. It's still a problem. That's really why it's kind of in the middle of the road here. Honestly, if you couldn't switch weapons on the fly, this would probably easily be in D or F tier. I would say that's kind of the only thing that's really saving it for me, that and the double damage on ricochet kills, or ricochet shots, I should say. Other than that, I feel like it's not really that useful. Next, we have Izanagi's Burden. Now, boy, man, this sniper, it's very niche in the fact that you sacrifice ammo to get extra damage. You can one-shot, body shot Guardian and Super if you use the perk Honed Edge, which condenses your whole magazine into one bullet. And it's that kind of high risk, high reward thing that makes it really interesting and really fun, but that's also what makes it very niche. You kind of can only use this in specific instances. It has its useful times. It has its value at moments, but other than that, I feel like it's not really worth the exotic slot, especially for being a kinetic sniper rifle. And when a kinetic is kind of supposed to be your main source of damage, and you can run out of ammo pretty quick because you're burning through ammo doing the Honed Edge, it feels kind of just very meh to me, like middle of the road. Next, we have Le Monarque, and I feel like this is C tier because, one, it's a bow. Exotic bows aren't really great right now. I would say legendary bows are really good. I used a Subtle Calamity to get my Thorn in Iron Banner, and I was dropping maybe 20 to 30 kills a game. Honestly, the reason this is kind of C tier is it has poison damage. That's cool, I guess. But the thing is, you can only get the poison if you get a perfect hit. That's why I play a hunter typically, so every time I use this weapon, I use Oath Keeper, so you always get perfect hit every time, or perfect draw, I believe is what it's called. And if you get a headshot or precision hit, I believe it's not even, it has to be a kill, it has to be just a headshot. It spreads poison to other enemies. The poison just doesn't do a lot of damage. It doesn't really help out. Honestly, I feel like you can use pretty much any other bow, and it wouldn't really change drastically in what you were doing. It just kind of feels like you're throwing pellets at a boss. Other than that, it's good for crowd control, and I guess that's really the main thing for it. And that's why I think it's a C tier. Next is Malfeasance. Now, this gun is very niche in the fact that you can really only use it in Gambit, and you can only really use it against Taken, because it does extra damage to Taken. The Explosive Shadow perk is real nice, since they buff the damage of that. Other than that, there's not really any reason you should be using this. It just kind of feels normal. The Explosive Shadow is really cool. You have barely any recoil on the hand cannon itself, which makes it really good. But you just get outclassed by pretty much anything else. That just doesn't. It just doesn't do it for me. It just feels very C tier. I feel like it doesn't. It really doesn't work out well. Next, we have the Rat King. Again, this kind of only works in strikes, sometimes in PvP if you're lucky with Crucible, mainly because of the invisibility after you get the kill and reload. And considering that they've increased the duration of invisibility effect on that and made it quicker for you to turn invisible, it is a lot better. And basically, the real thing that's in C tier is it's a novelty. I mean, you need other people with the Rat King in order for it to really work well. Other than that, it's just, there's really no reason you should be using it. Sidearms aren't good. They really aren't. And I feel like there's not really any reason we could be using this, especially when you have crazy weapons out here. I feel like it's not really that good. Next, we have Trinity Ghoul, and again, the same reason why. It's a bow. It only really is fun in strikes if you have Arc Burn, because you can chain lightning to other enemies. Other than that, there's really no reason you should be using it. It's got a cool name, like Trinity Ghoul. That sounds awesome. It shoots 3 arrows at once. Other than that, it just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't work. And I'm probably gonna say that a lot, but it just doesn't work. It does not work well. I feel like it just doesn't really have a place. It's not really strong, in my opinion. Even in its supposed like niche spot, it still doesn't feel that wicked strong. It's better than some weapons, but I wouldn't say it's the best in its spot. And honestly, that's why I feel it's in C tier. Now we're in B tier, so we're getting to better weapons. These are fun to use. It works well in day-to-day stuff, but it's not really good in endgame. So the first one here we have is the Crimson. Is extremely fun to use. You heal all the time. It's a 3-burst hand cannon. It fires incredibly fast. The reason it's not really used in endgame is because it does basically no damage. It doesn't really do a lot of damage, especially for having max impact. Its recoil is, there's like barely any of it, which is really good. But other than that, the only reason why people really use it is, one, it's fun because you have a 3-burst hand cannon and you can heal, and 2, if you get a headshot kill, it refills part of your magazine. That's pretty much it. Other than that, there's not really much to say about it. It's just a novelty item, basically, in my opinion. Next is the Colony, and this is also B tier because it is extremely fun to use. Probably one of the most fun weapons I've ever used in a long time. Basically because it has tracking grenades that crawl all across the ground. It's fun in day-to-day stuff, but definitely not in the end game. It does no damage, its blast radius is really small, and also in Crucible, people have gotten smart to it now. They can just jump and it won't track them anymore, and they won't get hit. So that's pretty much, once you kind of figure out the trick of how not to get hit by the weapon, it doesn't really work. And that's why I kind of put it into B tier. Next is the Fighting Lion, and honestly, I never would have thought I'd put this in B tier. This used to be probably one of the worst weapons in Destiny as well, and now it's so much fun. You ricochet grenades off walls and hit people. It's fun and it's really fun to use. It's crazy fun and it works well in day-to-day stuff, but again, not in endgame, does no damage. It's too much of a risk with the delayed gratification. It's fun. It is pretty fun. That's all I'm really going to give it, is that it is fun to use, and that's kind of the main reason why it's in B tier. Next is Jade Rabbit. Now, a couple months ago, I probably would have put this into F tier because scout rifles were just in a horrific place. Now scout rifles are better. This weapon does fire slow, which is kind of the main thing that's keeping it in B tier. And its perk, in my opinion, while it being a good perk, doesn't really make sense. The fact that you get chain body shots to get a super powerful headshot just doesn't work because you're going for the head anyway with a scout rifle. So I feel like because of that really pushes it back. You also don't really see it that often anymore. So other than that, I just feel like it's very meh. It's very it's fun, but it's not crazy. Next is the Merciless. Mainly the real reason is because this is kind of in the middle of the road. It's fun to use. Yes, it is strong when it needs to be, but other than that, there's really no reason you should be using it over other weapons. I feel like it's just kind of meh, in my opinion. It doesn't really do much. It's really kind of there. I feel like people don't really use Merciless as much as they really should, and that's why it's kind of in B tier. It is fun to use when you can. Next is the Risk Runner, and this is mainly because of the 0 Hour mission. This weapon helped me get Outbreak perfected. It's so good because you can deal with pretty much anything in its way. It destroys everything in its path. It's crazy, crazy, crazy cool, and I love it to bits. It's really fun to use, and it helped a lot, and that's the main reason why it's really in B tier. Next is Sunshine, basically the same reason as Risk Runner. It's fun to use, it's strong when it needs to be, but other than that, it's very okay. Next we have Telesto. Now this used to be the bane of everybody's existence, and now not so much. Unplanned Reprieve is kind of fun. The fact that you can kind of stick projectiles into people and they'll blow up later is pretty cool. Other than that, there's not really much of a use for it, considering that it got heavily nerfed. It is fun to use and it works well in day-to-day stuff. Again, not really an endgame though. Next is Vigilance Wing. Now, a long time ago, I definitely would have put this at S tier. 5-burst pulse rifle, not scout rifle. It's really good. You had Harsh Truths on there that made it, I believe, fire faster. Or no, I'm thinking of Last Stand that made it fire faster if you're the last surviving member of your fire team. But if someone died near you, you would get buffs to the weapon. And you would heal. It's really cool. I think it's a really cool novelty weapon. It's fun. It's very fun to use. I don't really see people use it all that often anymore. Again, just not really an endgame. No one uses it for that. Next, we are in the A tier. So these basically could be X tier, but it has one fault holding it back. So the first one is the Darcy, and really the one thing that's holding it back is the fact that Whisper exists. That's really it. Other than that, this weapon would be easily S tier. It's just an amazing weapon all around, and I think it's really, really good. I'm kind of cycling through this real quick, because I realized the video is getting real long here. Next, we have Graviton Lance. This weapon is amazing, and again, the thing that's holding it back is there are just better weapons right now in the Crucible. It's cool. Black Hole perk does a lot of damage. You have to avoid projectiles after you kill someone with a headshot. It's really, really good, and I think it's really fun. Next is Legend of Acarius, the heavy shotgun. It does crazy damage now. The one thing that's really holding it back is its handling is still super slow. Other than that, I feel like this would definitely be S tier as well. It's not, it's very good. It's pretty much useful in everything. It's fun. It does a lot of damage. Next, we have Lord of Wolves. Now, this got buffed significantly. It does crazy damage, and in fact, it's about to get nerfed. I would say the one thing holding it back is actually the example that it has in the list itself, which is ammo. You just run out of ammo so quick with the weapon because it's a burst shotgun. And you have Release the Wolves that makes you use more ammo. So it's very, you burn out of ammo real quick with it. Next is the Prospector, and mainly the real thing that's holding this back is they're just better heavy weapons. Other than that, it's really, really good. You get the Sticky Mines, which is really fun. You get burning damage on them as well as arc damage, so you have two different damaging types, and it really does crazy amounts of damage if you stack it with Well of Radiance. It goes nuts. Next, we have Sleeper Simulant. I'm pretty sure this one's obvious. Really, the thing that's holding it back is ammo and the fact that there is just all these weapons in S tier that are really good. Other than that, it's really amazing. Donoshen just destroys everything with the ricochet rounds. Honestly, I believe this is getting nerfed as well, which is unfortunate, but I feel like it's a really good weapon in my opinion. Next is Thorn. So this disappointed me a little bit, but I'm putting it into A tier because you run out of ammo too quick, and I feel like it doesn't hit as hard. I think it's mainly because of the poison damage. But when you get Soul Devourer on, it would be S tier instantly, because you can 2-tap people. It's really good when you have Soul Devourer on, when you absorb the soul after you kill an enemy with it. Other than that, I feel like it would just be A tier, and it's fun to use. It's extremely fun to use. Next, we have Tractor Cannon. I mean, you boot people off the map and you suppress them. I mean, there's not really much else I have to say. That's the main reason why it's an A tier. Honestly, and then again, it's also ammo. So the ammo is kind of what keeps it bumped down. Now we're on to the cream of the crop here. This is the S tier. They're extremely easy to use, high damage. They're common in endgame and comp. And we're going to start off with 1000 Voices. Oh my god, 1000 Voices is so good. It does so much damage. It's a crazy fusion rifle. It's awesome, and I love it. It's so much fun. If I had one problem with it, it would probably be that ammo kind of runs a little low, but again, it's a heavy weapon, and that makes sense. Next is the Ace of Spades. Now, this weapon is amazing, especially because of Memento Mori. It just destroys everything. This is also getting nerfed, which is unfortunate, but honestly, I think it's really, really, really good. Next, we have the Chaperone. I mean, it's a shotgun where you can map people. You can literally shoot across the map and kill someone. It's really good, in my opinion. It's the best in the Crucible. I see a lot of people use it all the time. Next is Jotun. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this. This weapon hits like a truck, and the burn hits even harder. It tracks. It's an insta-kill, no matter where it hits you, unless you really get far away from it. I mean, that's really all I have to say. You have the Thunderlord, Lord of Thunder. Oh my god, it's really good. Thunderlord, Lord of all Thunders, is just so good. That's my nickname of it. You shoot lightning strikes basically the more you hit an enemy with the machine gun. That's really cool. And machine guns are in a really good place right now. So honestly, S tier. Next is Warcliffe Coil, and this is mainly S tier because the catalyst, they track. The rockets track. You shoot a volley of rockets. That's awesome. When you have catalyst on top of that, it tracks. That's even better. And I think personally that's really, really, really good. Even without the tracking, it's still pretty good. And then finally on the S tier, we have Whisper of the Worm. I mean, White Nail is just an amazing perk. Honestly, I still feel like it's S tier even with the nerf to its ammo, to the fact that ammo is now you only hold 9 shots because you would get infinite ammo anyway, and in fact they're actually getting rid of the infinite ammo mechanic, so now it pulls bullets from reserves. So now it's gonna make which made a lot of people mad, but now they're gonna make the magazine a lot bigger again, so it'll be up to 21 shots and it'll pull from reserves instead of out of thin air, which makes it real low. And the 2 weapons that were not included on here, one of them was a PlayStation exclusive, and that is Wave Splitter, and I'm putting that into A tier. It is really good. I would say the reason why is it's a little too inconsistent, and your ammo economy is not great. It is literally the best trace rifle in the game, but the fact that you switch between 3 different power levels, once you get to the 3rd power level, it just destroys everything, and that's why it's A tier. And of course, Outbreak Perfected is easily an S tier as of now, and it has not been nerfed. This weapon is the newest weapon in the game, and the Siva nanites just destroy everything. It's so good. I love it so much. It destroys everything in Crucible, it destroys everything in PvE, it destroys everything in Strikes, Gambit, Forges, like everything. It's so good, and honestly, I think it's the best weapon in the game currently. At least until it gets toned down, whenever that will be. But anyway, that is the exotic tier list that we have here. Kind of beats a normal list, and it's actually 30 minutes long. So this is the most updated we have, at least until Penumbra or Season of Opulence comes out on June 4th. So this is what we have currently. I might make some for armor eventually, but right now, this is what we have. This is the tier list. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and apagando las luces.